And welcome back. It's episode 171 of Catfish on Ice. Just had a really awesome interview with Jason from the Vegas Fever podcast. Got noises going on in my ears right now. I don't know what these noises are.
You went live and I got the notification. So if you sign up on YouTube
there you
and
go.
subscribe, you'll get dings just like that.
Get dings when we go live, just like
Dingers.
that. I was being reminded. All right, we had Vegas Fever Podcast join you to go to open episode 171 of Catfish on Ice. This is Chad Minton with Rich Howe and Kyle Perkins giving you this live portion on Twitter right now and on our YouTube channel. Yeah, go hit subscribe right now. We would really appreciate it. Comment on the live stream. We have a lot of fun on these podcasts. We've got a lot to get into. First of all, thank you to Jason from the Vegas Fever Podcast for joining us to open this episode. Talked about last night's game, guys. Wow. Where do we even begin on that one?
Woof. That's all you can say is ugh.
Woof?
Man.
Is that how we're starting it?
Yeah, oof. Well, not wolf. Oof. Like ugh.
Ugh.
It's the first game I've ever turned off and watched something else.
I watched.
Guys, it was bad.
I watched the first period, and I didn't watch the rest, but that was because we were watching something as a family. But I kept up with it enough, and I could tell what was going on. And the first period was bad enough. So,
you know what? If you were Rich, first of all, don't blame me for changing it after the first period, but it didn't do it justice. If you were actually watching the game, it made it so much worse because
I'm sure.
I mean, it felt like a junior varsity rec league team that just met before the game. Like I felt like the Predators met up outside of the local YMCA. I don't know if YMCAs have ice rinks, but you know what I'm trying to get at here. They met up outside the building. They said, "Hey guys,
we'll
play a little pickup. Let's get a pickup game going tonight. Like shirts and skins. Your shirts, we're skins. Let's get a game together. We'll all, whatever." And I felt like the Vegas Golden Knights have been playing together for years, and the Predators had just met each other prior to the puck drop. There was no chemistry. There was no structure from the Predators' part. It was so ugly.
Oh, yeah. Mike Twitter, worst game, but we knew it. Preds are terrible after multiple days off.
He's right.
Track record. Yeah, we know that. Everybody knows that. Max Greenberg, haven't seen him in a while. Been to a lot of bad games, a lot of blowouts. I don't think I've ever been to a game that was as dull as that one. It is pretty bad. Yeah,
it was really bad. And what really, these games are going to happen throughout the course of an 82-game season. I think what makes this really, really stick out and makes it look really bad right now is that you're coming off an 11-day break.
You should be rested.
Yeah, you're coming out of a break like that. There's no excuses. The team was preaching how hungry they were to get back to the ice and all these things, and you lay a dud like that. It's not like you went toe-to-toe with them and you still lost and you put out a good effort. This was probably one of the worst losses they've had all season. It ranks up there. We can go back and look at their schedule. There's a few games to choose from. They've had some bad losses this year. But I would have to rank it up there as one of the worst. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. We're going to look back. Everyone is hating on David Poile. It's always that way. It's every hour is hate on David Poile hour. But we are going to look back at his best and worst moves of his tenure. I've got a few of his good ones. We're going to look at his draft picks. We're going to look at some of his trades he's made over the off seasons. We're going to look at it. Free agency, whatnot. I've got some moves, both good and bad, and some that are still up in the air. We can make our decisions later on that. We are going to catch up on where are they now. Former Predators who were on this team last year, even a player that was on this team this year
Oh, gonna stir the pot with that.
That's gonna rub salt in the wound
Oh yeah, that's
for all
still
these Predators fans that are
it's
struggling
still
right
a
now.
topic. It's still a topic.
Yeah. But we're going to do that. We're going to catch up on how these players are doing. And then we got some NHL quick hitters to hit on. A questionable hit that's under fire right now. The golden boy, Cal Makar, gets hit.
Quick
and
hitter.
everyone's up in arms right now. All-Star Weekend takeaways, guys. My first word is cringe. Can the NHL figure out a way to market their sport any worse? It was like nails on a chalkboard, man.
I enjoyed
They
it.
They were trying. We'll hit on it to close out the episode. But I thought they missed the mark on a lot of different opportunities. Some of these skills challenges were like they were so confusing. Like you felt like you had to do your homework to figure out the rules.
You're right about that.
But
especially the goalie one.
At least they tried. And also better goalie goal, Pekka or Saros, because guess what? It might not have been a regular season game, but UC Saros scored a goalie goal.
He did.
Which one was better? They were both pretty good in their own right. We will discuss which one was better.
Yes, discuss amongst
yourselves. Before we do all that, we're presented by DraftKings, promo code THPN. Guys, are you ready for the biggest Sunday in all of sports? I think you know where I'm going with this. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57. You know, honestly, I've lost track of what Super Bowl number we are at what we're at every year. But luckily, DraftKings has me there. 57. We're at Super Bowl 57, guys. Hey, be honest, guys, both of you. If someone rapid fire walked up to you in public and said, "What Super Bowl number are we at this year?" would you be able to answer?
No,
absolutely not.
I would have guessed in the 50s, but I don't know if I would have said 57.
I would have had no clue.
It's Super Bowl 57.
Is that like LLXV?
Yeah, don't try to quiz me on Roman numerals tonight, Rich. Please don't. It's already late right now. We're all in the Eastern time zone. I have joined you guys in the Eastern time zone. Right. Don't test me.
So you
on
know
Roman
the struggle
numerals.
now.
Yeah, the struggle is real.
I do.
For sure. Continue on with the DraftKings read.
Do not be testing me on Roman numerals this late, Rich.
For sure.
But DraftKings has all the Super Bowl action you need. New customers can bet just $5 and get 200 in bonus bets instantly. Bonus usually means good, right? Anytime we hear the word bonus, it usually means a good thing.
$200.
So yeah, bonus. Yes. Bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get in on the Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boost. Check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time to see what prop bet will be boosted. This is almost as complicated as the All-Star Weekend skills challenge.
Goalie tandem.
the Tindy tandem. But, between 6 and 9 p.m. Eastern, check every day. It's that simple. It's actually pretty simple. And there will be new prop bets available to DraftKings customers. Here's my thing. Let's talk about our Super Bowl picks real quick. Let's get it out of the way. I think we did this last year. We don't talk football very often, but we got to talk Super Bowl here for at least a little bit. I'm going Philadelphia Eagles. I am. I love Jalen Hurts. Love me some Jalen Hurts. I love the Eagles defense. They have a really good defense. I know Kyle down there is an NFC guy, his Chicago Bears. They got one of the top picks. So
we got the first pick.
Consolation.
First pick. My bad. Yeah, congratulations. So
hooray.
How you feeling, Kyle? Do you like my Eagles pick?
I do. And I'm like you. I wanted Chicago to trade for Jalen Hurts whenever he was available there a couple of years ago. So I'm with you on that train. So
I think as long as the Kansas City Chiefs don't get all the gift calls from the officials, then the Eagles got a chance to probably win this game. I think they're the better team. They're well coached. They've got a really good defense. They've got a great quarterback. They got the former Tennessee Titan, A.J. Brown, that just sticks a stake into the hearts of all the Titans fans because, they traded him away or whatever. Yeah. I got the Eagles. Rich, I know you're not a big football aficionado, but who are you going with? Let's make it a clean sweep.
Eagles.
Going Eagles?
I'm going Eagles. Mahomes he's got foot problem. He was limping around.
So
or was he just playing it up? I don't know.
He says he's good. He says he's good. He says he's feeling better. I read that today. So clean sweep around the Catfish on Ice panel. We're all taking Eagles, which means Kansas City Chiefs are your Super Bowl champions.
The superb owl champions.
Either way, whether you take our pick of Eagles or you take the Chiefs, either way, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code THPN. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See our show notes below the episode for details. If you have a gambling crisis, have gambling problems, need gambling help, there are ways you can get assistance on that and get help. We have phone numbers below to do that. All right. I'm going to go with Rich first on this one. You get to be the first person to talk about the meltdown that we witnessed. I know you said you turned the game off, but you still are very aware of what happened. The Predators were flirting with NHL records here in a bad way.
Bad records.
In terms of shots on goal. They had 6 shots on goal coming up on the midway point of the third period. Yes, 6 shots on goal. I had to scramble at the time to look up and see what was their franchise lowest number, and I was well. So 9 is the franchise record. They ended up getting some garbage time shots on goal, which the Preds fans sarcastically gave them cheers for it, which they deserved. And but yeah, they were flirting with it. It was that bad. Besides that, Rich, what went wrong, man? Like, I mean, what do you think?
Well, the first goal that the Predator scored was awesome. That was a great goal. I was like, oh wow, they've came out swinging. They're ready to go. But man, after that, just bad. Just lots of breakaways. Left Saros hung out to dry yet again multiple times. I was surprised that they left him in. I don't think that's a good idea. Send Lankinen out there and let him get scored on a little bit too. But just overall, just bad defensive breakdowns leading to scoring chances for Vegas. I don't have a good feeling about the rest of this little time up until the trade deadline. So we can talk about that a little bit as well. But
we can touch on that for sure.
I just think they had a good run. I don't see them making the playoffs anymore.
To piggyback on what you just said, Rich, and then we're going to go to Kyle. But to piggyback on what you just said, Rich, in terms of all the odd man rushes they were giving up, after the Preds scored that early goal by Matt Duchene, as you said, it was a really pretty goal, but it came so early in the game and whatnot, and it was almost like that never happened the rest of the game because Vegas just like inserted their will and they skated so freely in their offensive opportunities, and they didn't need that many. It turned out they really didn't. They could sit on the lead. They basically could sit on the lead. And midway through the second period, I think I tweeted out saying Vegas can just sit on this lead. Like absolutely. They don't have to take any chances. They don't have to do anything. Just force the Predators to do something. and they couldn't. They couldn't. The
still didn't do
Predators
anything.
just skated into a brick wall every time. You need playmakers to make plays, and no one showed up last night. Nobody. Even the captain, Roman Josi, had to own up to it and say, credit Alex Doherty, who first tweeted it out from A to Z Sports. Roman Josi took ownership for 2 goals. He said, I gave them 2 easy goals.
Yeah.
And he did.
He did, absolutely. For sure. That one.
So, Kyle,
I saw the one where he fell down, and then that caused the odd man rush.
Yeah.
And they scored on that one. I didn't see the other one, but just bad.
Kyle, other than that, man, like, where do you see this team going from here? Like, turn the page quickly, you hope. You got another 3 days off, and then you play Philly, which, obviously is a down and out team who's probably sellers at the deadline. They're not going anywhere.
Trap.
So maybe you can pick up a couple cheap points, come in pissed off.
Or it's a trap.
What are you thinking, Kyle?
If they're going to play like that, I'm really concerned about playing anybody.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, one thing that really concerned me was when Juice got ran over and nobody really did anything.
Oh,
that was concerning. I really didn't like that. You saw Arsenin early in the game took offense to somebody running into Juice and went after the guy, but other than that, it was kind of free reign on him the rest of the game. They're looking like some really – well, they look worse than the Winter Classic Preds.
Oh, wow. I agree with that.
Yeah, it was one of those situations. You're looking at some of these underlying numbers here. Expected goals for Vegas, had 4.55 to Nashville's 1.95. You're also looking at high danger chances for, according to Natural Stat Trick, was 16-5 in favor of Vegas. I mean, 5 high danger chances in one game. Forget about the shots on goal. I mean, that's another low number. 5 high danger chances. It doesn't matter who you're going up against in net. They're all NHL quality goaltenders, even backups. And Aiden Hill's been decent for them as a backup for Vegas, but you're not testing the goaltender at all. Like, you got no chance. Yeah. They're honestly lucky that they didn't get shut out and they got 1 goal, to be quite honest. So
if Duchesne hadn't have pretty much took that on his own shoulders, they wouldn't have got that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really bad game here. Here's my thing. So they go into Philly and on Saturday. It's a day game. It's like one of those weird matinee games that don't happen very often.
They don't do well.
You say it's a trap game. I actually think they'll probably win that game. I'll go on record and say it right now. I could see them going into that game, toying with our emotions, playing pretty well. They're probably going to come out of this game really having to look each other in the mirror and think about, oh, wow, like, we really stuck up the joint. Like, Bridgestone Arena was literally cheering sarcastically about a shot on goal in the third period because we sucked that bad. So I do think that they're going to come out guns blazing, and hopefully that should mean that they beat a team like the Flyers, who are dead in the water. They're not going anywhere. But what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? This is why no one is buying stock in the Predators doing anything in the playoffs, even if they make it there, is because of games like this. So, yeah, you go and beat the Flyers on Saturday. Congratulations. Get a pat on the back. It's not going to change my emotions one way or the other. I do think they'll beat the Flyers. I could be wrong. You can call me out on it after the game happens. I think they'll beat the Flyers most likely, and they'll hang around this playoff bubble like they do every year. But when you see games like this against quality teams like the Golden Knights, a team that you could very possibly face in the first round if you do make it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
For sure.
That's why no one has confidence in this team if they make the playoffs. It's because of games like that.
Here's the thing. They had their team meeting, and that was supposed to be their, let's look in the mirror and figure this out and everybody step up. And they did well. They did well for those games. But you can't come back. You can't come back after playing so well and just play the way they played. I mean, there's just no excuse after they had their team meeting. What else is there to talk about? There's nothing else for them to do or talk about. What do they, if they haven't got it figured out by now, shame on them, because we're over halfway through the season. So yeah, I don't know. It's not going to be.
How many wake up calls do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
How many times this year have we said, "Oh, this will be a wake up call for them"?
Yeah,
to get their stuff together. How many times do you need a wake up call?
Yeah, like in a few weeks, guys you've been playing with for a long time are probably going to be gone. I mean, that's they talk about like being a tight knit group and all this stuff, and this is how you play with your teammates. It's like Matthias Ekholm could be gone in a few weeks. I mean, any of those guys, Mikhail Granlund, you never know. Any of those guys, if they keep doing what they did.
Well, if we're talking about that kind of speculation, then it's Dante Fabro most likely.
Or him.
He's probably the easiest player to move right now because, for all the criticism he gets from a lot of Preds fans, I don't think a lot of it is deserved. I know Kyle's not big on Dante Fabro. He's actually played pretty well lately. He is not nearly the biggest problem on this team. I think he's the easiest player to move right now. That doesn't mean he's the best player necessarily. I'm just saying he's the easiest player to move right now. I don't think Granlund's easy to move as much as you want to move him. We thought it was a good bargain deal at the time, but the guy's got a few years left on his contract here.
That's true.
Because they re-signed him. And he's for a bargain in terms of AAV, but he's done nothing this season to boost his value to be anything more than a bottom six type of player. So who's really going to look for him out in the trade market?
Yeah. I was just saying in general, just guys.
No, I get you. I get you. I'm just saying they've got some guys they can move. I don't know if Poile's going to like the offers he gets for some of these players. I think that's the problem. I think if anything, we're probably stuck with what we have unless David Poile has some player he really, really likes out there that he can invest in. But, of course, we don't really want to see him sell the farm for that because we know this team is more than just one or two pieces away from competing for a Stanley Cup, most likely. So you're not going to solve all of your issues at one trade deadline, especially with the cap restraints that we have right now in the NHL. This is going to be this trade deadline is not going to be very exciting. You're going to have a couple of big players move. Well, you've got a couple players, big name players. Patrick Kane's going to move. You got Timo Meier that's going to move. What happens with a few other players, but there's a lot of teams that can't make moves, even if they want to. The cap restraints, they just, with a flat cap, you just can't do it.
Yeah, it's just usually when you try to get somebody who you really want, the rest of your high dollar players are playing really well, and unfortunately, that's not the case. They're not. I mean, they have their moments, but I don't know.
Rich, you bring up Matthias Ekholm. He's a player that I misspoke a little bit because Matthias Ekholm would absolutely get a bigger trade package than Dante Fabro. Yeah. I guess what I should say is I do not see David Poile trading away Matthias Ekholm because I don't think David Poile is ready to give up and move on and be a rebuilding team. And if he trades away Matthias Ekholm, he's pretty much saying, okay, you know what? Everybody's right. It's time to rebuild. It's time to move on. We can't compete in the playoffs. Let's trade away Matthias Ekholm. If David Poile still wants to win in this year's playoffs and he thinks this team can make the playoffs, he's not trading away Matthias Ekholm. He's not going to do
absolutely not. But I just don't see him making it for some reason. I don't know. They could prove me wrong, obviously, but I don't know.
I don't know, but a game like this, though,
It's just
it makes you easily forget about all the good they did before the All-Star break because
everybody was.
It's a weird situation right now for the Predators.
Yeah, we're all upset, obviously, but like that same night, Seattle got beat, and they're like top of their division, and they got beat 4-0. So it happens, but it's so close to us that we, just hate.
I think it was mainly just the no shots on goal at all.
Yeah.
It looks like it makes it look like they're not trying.
Yeah.
And I
it was the effort.
That, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very rarely do we have to criticize the effort of the Nashville Predators. Normally, when we criticize a Predators loss, it's because of other things, like too many penalties or you couldn't connect on the power play or whatever. But very rarely do we watch a Predators game and question their effort. And that was one of those games where I literally had to question the effort of this team. I had to think, are they really in this? Do they are they still on vacation right now? Like, I mean, that's what it felt like. It felt like they were still on vacation, whereas Vegas came ready to play. And this game did scare me coming into it because Vegas was in a world of hurt in their own right going into the All-Star break. You were talking about two different teams trending in different directions going into a break. You got one team who was playing terrible going into the break, fell back to third place in their division in a very crowded Pacific division. They beat the Predators. They had lost 7 of 9 going into the All-Star break. They come back. They play the Predators out of the All-Star break. And by beating the Predators in that dominating performance, they leapfrog back into first place in the Pacific Division. So one team came ready to play and came focused. The other team was still on vacation.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's just baffling. The first guy who scored, Michael Amadio, never even heard of him. I don't know. And their goaltender, he was at the All-Star game, and they didn't play him. I wonder if they should have maybe played Lankinen for this. Gave Saros a couple days off. I don't know. I don't think
it
would have helped. Yeah, for sure.
There's too many breakaways, too many odd man rushes, and when Vegas got out to that quick lead, they were up 3-1 before this first intermission, and you found out really quickly that it was going to be near impossible for the Predators to put up 4 goals in this game.
Yeah.
When they fell behind 3-1, it was like
3-1 in the
felt
first
over.
11 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. Ugly.
You may have never heard of Amadio, but you have heard of Phil Kessel. He gets a goal.
William Carrier.
Petrangelo puts an empty netter out.
Chandler Stevenson was at the All-Star game. He had 2 points, a goal and an assist. So
these are definitely one of those games where you just want to forget about it as quick as you can. But I mean, you get Philly next. So we will see how it works out. Again, we talked to Jason to begin this episode. If you're just joining live right now, download the episode tomorrow, or you can go to YouTube right now. And we got the full interview available on YouTube with Jason from the Vegas Fever podcast. Me and him broke this game down as well. We got his perspective from a Vegas perspective. He said he was very surprised about how this game unfolded. And he had way more respect for the Predators than most Predators fans have for their own team. So take that for what it is.
There's not many Predators fans that have respect for their.
But Jason was awesome. He was a great guest. Go check out the Vegas Fever podcast. They're awesome. Really awesome content covering a team that, other than Boston, Vegas is like number 2 on my radar of teams I'm really watching on the trade deadline to see who they buy and who they get. Because they're going to get somebody big. Vegas is. Especially with Mark Stone out for the rest of the season. They can put him on LTIR. And now they have an open roster spot. Look for Vegas to go for Patrick Kane. Look for Vegas to go for a Timo Meyer. Vladimir Tarasenko's out there. We talked about it with Jason. Good way to open up the episode. Go check it out on YouTube. Or if you're listening live right now, you got to download the episode tomorrow in its entirety. Episode 171. We are presented by Raycon and DraftKings. We already told you about DraftKings. Let's tell you about Raycon. Wireless earbuds. This time of year, everyone's talking about making big changes, which is all well and good, but most of the time it's pretty unrealistic. I know the Predators those Nashville Predators, they're trying to make these big changes, but they're still the same old damn team.
They tried.
They do try.
They did change. They got worse.
The big New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start reading more. That's my big one. I said I was going to start reading more, guys.
Like books or magazines?
No, real books. Like I said, because I actually do enjoy reading. I do. I enjoy sitting down and reading a good book. My problem is I am such an impatient person that whenever I sit down and start reading a book, I get sidetracked too easily. Like a noise might happen outside the window or something might happen. I get distracted. But we all have New Year's resolutions. You're probably wondering where I'm going with this in terms of Raycon wireless earbuds, right?
Bring it around. Land the plane.
I've actually found that the smallest changes to your routine can make the biggest impact. In the same way, you don't have to break the bank to make a big deal purchase. Even the smallest things can be a part of a big change if it's something you use every day, like my Raycons. Raycon is premium audio at the perfect price point, so you can build great habits without breaking the bank. So, Raycon in your routine. Raycon, if you're listening to your podcast, if you're listening to your favorite podcast, Catfish on Ice, you're listening to Elliot Friedman, the GOAT, you're listening to 32 Thoughts podcast. We get it. If there's one podcast hockey that you're going to listen to over us, we will give you full permission to listen to Elliot Friedman, the GOAT, in the 32 Thoughts podcast, because I do that. So I can't blame you for doing it if I do it. But whatever podcast you listen to, Raycon is great. If you're going to go on a walk, if you're going to go on a jog, they're water resistant. They have all these great touchless features. And like I said, it's for a great price. Whether you're looking for a pair of everyday earbuds, low latency gaming headphones. I forgot about that. We have a lot of gamers out there. Xbox, online gaming. It's great for that as well. Or a speaker with a battery that will last all night at your next party. Raycon's got you covered. They got the wireless speakers. And yep, Raycon start at half the price of other premium audio brands. So you're getting the great quality for half the price. Sounds good to me. So you don't even have to choose between products. You can get one of each or a pair and a spare and still pay less than you would with some of the other guys. If you have multiple pairs of everyday earbuds, where do you keep them? You keep them safe. You keep them where no one else can get them, right? And you have fun and you do your thing. Even if you know you'll love your Raycons as much as I do, Raycon wants to make sure you feel great about your purchase. They offer buy now, pay later options. Every purchase has an easy and free return guarantee. So I can personally endorse Raycon wireless earbuds. They're amazing. They're great. 3 customizable sound profiles, earbud tap functions, noise isolation, awareness mode, custom gel tips for the perfect, most comfortable in-ear fit, crystal clear, call quality, water and sweat resistance. They got it all. Raycon has it all. So use our promo code THPN to get offers on your Raycon wireless earbuds. All right, guys. Let's move on to David Poile, one of our favorite people ever. He is a great guy, but gosh, I feel so bad for that guy and all the crap he gets.
He's got a hard job, man.
Man, yeah. So let's look at his best and worst moves as Predators GM. He's been the only GM, of course, of this franchise ever. Let's start. We want to start with the positive or the negative, guys. You pick.
Let's do the negative. End it on.
Oh,
you want?
Well, get it out of the way.
Do it your way then.
No, we'll get the bad out of the way. I mean, it's pretty easy what the worst one is of all time. I mean, it's Kyle Turris, right? We're still paying for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there might be one worse.
Oh,
you got
okay.
One worse. That one ranks up there pretty good.
Kyle, before you go and give us your worst one than Kyle Turris, let me share the Kyle. Let me refresh everyone's memories for why Kyle Turris haunts everyone's nightmares. If you're a Predators fan, was originally acquired in a 3-way trade in November 2017. Matt Duchene was involved in that trade. He went to the Ottawa Senators. Sam Girard, which is a really promising young defenseman, hasn't really worked out in Colorado. He's kind of a tweener, third pairing defenseman. So you don't really feel too bad about losing him when you look back on it now. But here's the problem. The Preds are still paying for Kyle Turris in the buyout of $2 million per year until 2028.
5 more years of that.
I don't even know what I'm eating for lunch tomorrow, much less what's going to happen in 2028. And this team is still going to be paying for Kyle Turris in 2028.
Yeah, I mean, that one's bad. That one is bad.
You know what? And it wasn't necessarily the turn or the AAV at the time. It was $6 million. Okay. Not really that crazy. He was a good player when they made the trade for him. But it was the term. It was the long-term deal. And that's what really has gotten David Poile into all this hot water over the years. And we're going to talk about some of these other decisions he's made in this segment here. But it's the long-term deals. You're going to sense a theme here is what's gotten him into trouble.
Yeah.
Stay away from the long-term deals.
Especially that long. That's just ridiculous.
Well, that's where I'm going too.
All right.
Is it a long?
Let's hear one worse than Kyle Turris. I'm all ears.
That one's pretty bad. I want to hear this one.
Well, the thing is, this one hasn't came back to bite the Predators yet.
Okay.
But it is looming over their heads.
This scares me. Oh.
The Shea Weber offer sheet.
You're right. That is
because at the time you really wanted to keep Shea, but you mortgaged so much so far out, and I still think it's in the $4 to $6 million range if he actually retires per year.
Like now, yeah.
If he retired right now, it's $4 to $6 million per year that Nashville's off the hook for several more years, and that's coming off of your cap. So,
and that's, I think we've talked about that before. Several episodes, like, I don't even remember when, but mortgaging the future of the team on the one player, and then you don't even keep him.
Yeah.
And you agree to this insane thing of, if he doesn't play anymore, you're on the hook for however many years paying his salary. And that, you might be right. That might be worse than $2 million a year for Kyle Turris, but just the insane thing to give him that money and then just get rid of him. Just makes no sense. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that is bad.
The whole Shea Weber thing just breaks my heart. Like, I mean, his career is ended way too soon. And he is going to be one of the all-time great Predators ever. So,
I'm not saying anything bad about Shea Weber. I don't want anybody to think that. I'm just saying, on paper, the deal is bad, and it's most likely going to come back and bite him.
Yeah,
you're right.
There was a picture on Twitter of him skating somewhere in Vegas. I don't remember who he was with, but he was
between
shooting.
Between Shea Weber and now what we're seeing with Ryan Ellis as well, it's like two great all-time defensemen for the Predators, and they're just like their careers just like
fizzled
in way too soon for both of them. All right, let's look into another one here. This one is so under the radar. I don't think either one of you guys remember this or see this one coming. It's very under the radar. But I was doing some digging today for this segment and came across this one that really kind of stings now. How about February? Let's go back to February 2019. One of the few times where the Predators and David Poile made a in-season move or whatever to make the team better. They went out and got themselves one of those blue-collar, hard, roughneck defensemen. We got to get tough. We got to start eating glass, and we got to start getting tough. We got to get tougher for the playoffs.
Identity.
They traded for Wayne Simmons and dealt Ryan Hartman, who was, hey, he didn't play long here for the Predators, but I remember that year when he was playing for the Preds. A lot of fans were loving them some Ryan Hartman. That dude was a dog. He got in there and scored dirty goals. He played his heart out. He was one of those two-way forwards that just like played the Predator way, but had an offensive swagger to him. And now he plays for Minnesota. And guess what? Hartman put up 65 points, a career high last season for the Minnesota Wild. Yep. 65 points. I would love for an extra player on the Predators not named Roman Josi, not named Matt Duchene, and not named Philip Forsberg to score 65 points.
Yep. And Wayne Simmons does not.
Wayne Simmons played 17 games for Nashville. He really didn't move the needle at all for this team in that trade. He was a rental.
Yep.
17 games, and you lose a 65-point player eventually. That's a bad one. I forgot about it, but I came across it today, and I was like, I got to add this to this segment.
That's like, it's one of those things we talk about. It's a crapshoot.
Ryan Hartman still plays for Minnesota. Ryan Hartman is still currently on the Wild. Yeah. He's not a big-time, game-changing type of player, but he's still a player that I would love to have on this team right now if I could have.
I was watching him play tonight. They're playing the Stars. He got moved back up to the first line for Minnesota. Ryan Hartman.
All right, let's go back to these long-term. Let's go back to these long-term deals that David Poile gets in trouble with. Everyone will always talk about this. The contract's getting a little bit shorter, so maybe it's becoming more possible to move on from him. I think you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to ask both of you guys this. I'm going to get Kyle's thoughts on this first, and then we'll go to Rich. Where does Ryan Johansson fit in all of this in terms of David Poile's worst moves? He was originally signed to 8 years in 2017 following that Stanley Cup run. $8 million AAV for 8 years at the time.
Oh, man.
To think that Ryan Johansson is getting $8 million a year in this day and age compared to what you look at the market now is just insane. And I feel bad to put Ryan Johansson to that standard because it's not his fault. Ryan Johansson just signs the contract. It's David Poile's fault. It's not Ryan Johansson's fault. So, but when you look at it, it is absolutely crazy to think that Ryan Johansson makes that kind of money right now for that long of a contract.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy when you watch a game like you watched last night. All these guys that make all that money performing that way. But I mean, that happens, but still.
2007. I mean, it's not even the value per year of the contract. It's the term. It's 8 years. You sign the guy for 8 years. You hamstring yourself to 8 years to a guy just because he had a really good short run with you. and he went to the Stanley Cup. He gets hurt in that playoff run. The team rallies around him. They win the President's Trophy or whatever. All that's all well and good, but to sign a guy for 8 years is such a risk unless you know for sure he is a superstar on another level. That's the only time you could ever sign a guy for 8 years, you know?
I think, though, I'll play devil's advocate. He was going to get paid after that Stanley Cup playoff run, after how well he played during it. So I can understand giving him the contract, but in hindsight, it looks awful.
Yeah, the way
No
things
pun intended.
turned out.
And it wouldn't even be that bad if he was only making 5 or 6. It would be a great contract.
Mhm.
I would consider. If he was making $5 million, I don't think anybody would be complaining for what he produces.
I
It's
think
just
it's
he
the
got
years. They
got
trapped themselves, though.
yeah, he
That's
got
the problem.
overpaid based on a couple of good years and a really good playoffs.
Poile based the performance that may have or may not have been a fluke
Yeah.
in the Stanley Cup Finals. He mortgaged again, that word mortgaged. He mortgaged the team's future again and gave these guys these contracts, thinking we got there this year. We're gonna definitely get there next year, and we might win one, and we might win another one. We might win 2 if we keep this team together, and that's definitely has not obviously
I
panned
think,
out that way.
How much of 2017 was a mirage for this Predators franchise? You know, they were the
It really
8th
feels
seed
like
going.
it.
They were the 8th seed going in. They sweep, the Blackhawks. We talked about this so many times.
Yeah, for sure.
And every Predators fan that's really like diehard about the team, we don't have to remind them that was such a magical year, and it really they followed up with the President's Trophy the year after that. So they go on this 2-year run where, you start thinking, wow, the Predators are legit. They're in the top tier of the league. They're with the heavyweights, and then it went downhill since then. So I just don't think David Poile can part ways with that. I just don't know. And so when we go back to this Ryan Johansson deal, I mean, he comes out off that Stanley Cup run. He's like, okay, this is my core. This is my team. This is my window. I'm playing devil's advocate here as well. I got to lock up Ryan Johansson. He's my top line center. I'm putting all of my money on this guy. The Jofa line. I'm putting all my bread into the Jofa line.
I got hot goaltender.
Because at the time you had Pekka Rinne.
Yeah.
You had your Jofa line, Victor Arvidsson, Philip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson.
Oh, man. When you say it out loud, it just hurts, doesn't it?
It's the length of the contract for me.
Yes, absolutely.
That looks bad when you look back on it. You trapped yourself to an 8-year deal for a guy in Ryan Johansson who had some good years, but he had not acquired superstar level yet. He was not a superstar yet. You only give 8-year deals to guys you are for sure are superstars. And Ryan Johansson was not a superstar. He's a great player. He's a good player. Not taking it away from him. He's a quality player. He is not a superstar. You don't give 8-year deals to anyone unless they're a superstar.
Agreed.
All right.
100%.
I got one more. You guys got any other ones? Because I got one that's current.
I think you hit. I think we've hit all.
I mean, there's a ton. There's a lot of smaller ones. But here's one more on the bad column. And it's current. It's very fresh. And it's Eeli Tolvanen. He is flourishing from what we know with the Seattle Kraken, who is 1 point out of first place right now in the Pacific Division. It's very likely that Eeli Tolvanen will be playing meaningful hockey in the Stanley Cup playoffs later, while we're all sitting at home watching the Predators not be in the playoffs. So to lose him on waivers, to hear David Poile even fess up and say that he thought that he was going to clear waivers.
Yeah.
This could go down as one of his worst moves ever, unforgivable mistakes in his history when we actually look back on it a few years from now.
It's a touchy subject, and every time Tolvanen scores a goal for Seattle, Predators Facebook just lights it up, man. They just it's scorched earth yet again, just all over.
The Twitter outage, we had the Twitter outage earlier.
Yeah.
And so everyone had to flock to Facebook.
Yeah. I'm a little mixed on Tolvanen. Like, I think he had some good opportunities and he played well at times. We don't know what all happens behind closed doors, obviously, but it just didn't work out. This isn't the first time this has ever happened. It's not the last time. It'll happen again, but it does suck because he is playing well. But if we would have kept him, would he have eventually came around and played that way? I doubt it. So, what are you going to do?
So, then you have to start asking yourself, is it a structure thing? Is it a structure issue? Is it a coaching issue? And that's why everyone comes back to John Hines, is because you see these players leave this system and they flourish.
Yeah.
It's like once they break the chains of this organization, they go somewhere else. Oh, all of a sudden they're a good player. They can score goals. They can be, whatever. I think the same thing. Let's say that they trade Mikael Granlund at the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Would it surprise me that much if Mikael Granlund found a new team and suddenly became a goal scorer? It wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't. I think it's a structural issue. I think it's a team issue. I don't think it's all on the players. I think that this team, it's taken me a while. I've tried to give it time, but I don't see this team being anything more than what they are right now, which is a very frustrating middle of the road team with John Hines behind the bench.
So here's a question. If they were to let's say they fired John Hines and they got a recycled NHL coach, I know Boudreaux's out there or whoever else. Do you think another recycled NHL coach could take this team the way they are right now and do something with them?
All right, so Kyle's shaking his head no. I'm going to say that it could be better. I'm not saying it would make them just drastically better, but I think they could be better. There's no excuse for them being this bad of an offensive team with the talent they have on paper. It's not like they don't have offensive playmakers on this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so I do think that a fresh offensive philosophy. I see too much dump and chasing. I see too much. Yeah. I see too much of an onus on. Yeah, I agree. Like, this team has to forecheck, and forechecking is important, and that's how this team has to create their goal chances is through turning the puck over by hard forechecking. But you got to start taking some more chances here. You got to start having a, I hate to say it, but like Peter Laviolette, for how toxic he was to the locker room, his run and gun style was fun to watch. That team got out and they went up and down in transition. They took chances, and sometimes they got burned on the other end. But that team was fun to watch. They put pressure on the D-core of the other team. They took chances. This current Predators team, they can't even get in the zone because they're so predictable. That last night they were so, and it's, that was all time bad, how bad they looked against the Golden Knights. But let's not act like this isn't a normal trend here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We see it all the time. This team goes through long spurts in games where they can't get shots. They can't even get in the zone. They're playing defense. They're back on their heels, and they're just praying that UC Saros can get them through the stretch until they can figure out a way to maybe muster up some offense.
Yeah.
It's not a winning formula. They got to get a guy in there who can change the whole formula of this team. And yeah, of course they're going to have to that's why I think they do have to eventually rebuild and get new guys in, trade away, move on from Ryan Johansson, move on from Mikael Granlund eventually. Like they got to get some fresh guys in there. That's why I love seeing Juuso Parssinen and Cody Glass and Tommy Novak, elevate through this lineup, because I think those guys are the future of this team. Tommy Novak gets a new contract.
1 year.
Some news there. So
one way as well.
Yeah. So what are you seeing, Kyle, based on what I'm saying? Do you think it's starting to become more and more a coaching issue based on what we're seeing?
I do. And I made a post about it, and I know I keep beating this drum. Philip Forsberg has still scored one goal since they took him off a line with Juuso Parssinen.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing against Cody Glass. I think Glass and Parson are the best two centers on the team right now, but there was an obvious chemistry there, and you broke it up for no reason at all, and I can't figure it out, and it bothers me.
Yeah, it is. That is a puzzler for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Cody Glass and Juuso Parssinen need to be your top 6 centers throughout the rest of the season at this point. And you live and die with the consequences. Does that mean they're going to be perfect? They're not going to make their mistakes? No, they're young players, but I would rather see young players with opportunities to develop make mistakes over seeing veterans make the mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're doing it with Cody Glass. They are giving him a lot of ice time and giving him chances, but I want to see Parssinen up there. I think, as you say, Kyle, and you've made me a believer in this, Parssinen matches so well with Forsberg's game. You're talking 2 power forwards, 2 guys that use their physical bodies to create space and work off of each other. So I don't know why you would want to push Parssinen down to the bottom 6 when you know that Parssinen is going to be a very key part of your future.
Mm-hmm.
So why not just give him those minutes? Give him those chances, just like you're doing with Cody Glass. And it might not be enough to change it that much, but at least you're getting him in those situations, because you're going to really need him to step up in those situations in the future.
Do you remember there a couple of years ago when the Senators were so bad, but it was all Brady Tkachuk had just started playing, and they had all these other really young players, and all the Senators fans were happy, even though they were terrible, because they were watching their young players grow and see the potential that was coming up. So I'm okay with that. I'm just like what Chad said. I'm okay watching them make mistakes because they're young.
Mm-hmm. I think it's coming. Unfortunately, it just feels like it's coming. And when you watch younger players, grow and make mistakes, a loss like we saw last night is a little more easier to take than watching Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi, Matt Duchene, see these guys who are awesome players play like that. It's really a letdown. But if it's your young guys and they're growing and learning, it's a little easier to take for sure. So I think it's coming. I don't know.
Well, I think there's maybe 10 games left before the deadline now. So
that sounds right.
There's not a lot of time left for movement to be made here. I mean, that's why we got to see what they do against Philly. They got Philly, Arizona next. So on paper, you would think 2 winnable games, but let me tell you, Arizona is not a slouch. They've beaten plenty of quality teams this year, even though they're way back. Then you get Boston. Then you get Florida. And Florida just beat the brakes off of Tampa a couple days ago in the battle for Florida. So I'm telling you right now, like, the schedule does not offer any time to relax right now if you're the Predators. And so they get Vancouver, they get San Jose, they get Arizona twice. So they got some winnable games coming up before the deadline, which actually scares me even more because if they win a few of those games and they're right there on the cusp of a playoff spot, then that's going to really entice Poile to add another really bad move to this list of bad moves that we've already talked about. So, yeah, this next month here in February is going to be just crazy to watch, to see just which direction the Predators go. They're definitely at a fork in the road for their long-term future. We're not even talking about this season. Poile might make decisions that will change the direction of this franchise for years to come. That's literally what this month means. I'm not even trying to be over dramatic here. What the Predators do in these next few games over the course of this month, leading up to this trade deadline, is going to really impact this franchise for the coming years. Whether they become a rebuilding team, whether they make another really bad long-term signing, or they go for a rental player, we'll have to wait and see.
Real quick, if he goes for a rental player, he needs to be fired because I know it's enticing or whatever, but like
they're sending scouts. They're sending scouts to a lot of these games.
I saw that. History tells us they're not going to make it out of the first round. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Even if you get a rental player, that's not going to fix what's wrong with this team.
No, I agree. I think that signing any type of a rental player is will be a horrible mistake by David Poile.
For sure.
I just don't know if he can resist the urge.
No, he.
All right, let's look at some of his better moves that he's made, because he's made plenty. He's the winningest GM in NHL history. Let's not take that away from him. Easily his best move. I mean, you can't even question this. His best move of his tenure as GM of the Nashville Predators is when he traded for Philip Forsberg on April 3rd, 2013. He sent away a very good franchise great player, Martin Erat, who was well past his prime, and completely fleeced the Washington Capitals and got themselves Philip Forsberg. How do you top that? I mean, that's something that could be on David Poile's mantle for the rest of his days, because that's an all-time great steal by David Poile. And people forget that it was all the way back in 2013 when that trade happened.
That might be
Martin Erat did nothing hardly in his NHL career after that. So score a couple big bonus points for David Poile on that one.
That one's a good one.
Let's go to some big draft picks. He's had a lot of success drafting, and I know you got to give his scouts. He has a great scouting department that deserves a ton of credit, not just Dave Poile, but the scouts who go out there and give him this information on drafting some of these players. But, I mean, here's my next one on the list. Drafting Pekka Rinne in the 8th round, which doesn't even exist anymore, in 2004. I mean, if the Predators never draft Pekka Rinne, I mean, I don't even know if this team is even in Nashville anymore. They might have relocated.
Maybe.
And again, I'm not being over dramatic here. I don't know. I mean, the fate of the franchise staying in Nashville was very much in the balance.
And
right around when Pekka Rinne was starting to come up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not only drafting him, kudos to the scout for seeing something in him just from a warm up, because that's
a great story.
That's all the scout saw was him warming up, and turned out to be
that's a really cool. Yeah, that's a great story.
Goaltender. Yeah. Same with Saros. If you think about it, I mean,
4th round, 2013,
taking a chance on a shorter goaltender, which that's a silly thing anyway. But I don't know if you saw it. They had a clip of an interview over the All-Star weekend, and Saros said that a team, when he was doing the interviews for the draft or whatever with the teams, a team, and he wouldn't say who it was, said they wanted him to go to a doctor to get his bones x-rayed to see if there's any chance that he'll grow anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was like, and he said it came back, said I wasn't going to grow anymore, and he wouldn't say who it was, but that was pretty funny. That was a good story.
That's funny.
Not outright.
So I got a current one that I think is going to turn out to be a great move for David Poile when it's all said and done. How about going and getting Cody Glass from the Vegas Golden Knights? I know it's too early. I know it's too early to make a proclamation on that, but I'm just saying the way it looks right now, even if the Predators do end up becoming a rebuilding team, they miss the playoffs for a few years, I look at a player like Cody Glass as a future core top 6 center, top line center for this team. The way he's playing now and how much better I know he's going to keep getting, and I'm hoping he sticks around with this franchise for a long time. That can end up being a really good move by David Poile to go get him because things weren't working out with Vegas. He was the first ever draft pick by the Vegas Golden Knights. So to go get him, that could end up being a really, really great move by David Poile. It's already looking like a great move now, but it could end up being another one. I got an under the radar one here. How about acquiring James Neal in the summer of 2014 for Patrick Hornqvist? Following season, James Neal scored 31 goals, which at the time was only 3 goals shy of the franchise record. And he scored 6 goals in the 2017 playoff run to the Stanley Cup. So I'll give a couple modest points to David Poile when he went out and got James Neal. And James Neal was a fun player to watch on that Preds team at the time.
That's funny.
And also a player that I think that they should have found a way to hold on to at the time when they lost him.
Yeah.
To Vegas. They didn't protect him in the first ever expansion draft that the Predators had to participate in.
Good old Vegas.
All right, send us your. I should have asked Jason that at the beginning of the show. What was his original feelings on James Neal when they took him from the Predators in the expansion draft? All right, let's move on here. Episode 171, Catfish on Ice. Where are they now? Let's look at some players. And
good.
We already kind of talked about Eeli Tolvanen.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for the guy, guys. I am, though. Yeah. I mean, I don't have sour grapes here.
No.
I want to see the dude become – it's going to hurt to watch it, but I want to see the guy completely just go off. I find Seattle to be such an easy team to cheer for, too, so it's like it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So Eeli Tolvanen's got 10 goals for Seattle, which is tied for 6th on the team already, and he hasn't even played the full season with them yet. So, I mean, he's 3 goals from being in the top 3 on the team in goals.
That's crazy. How many games so far? How many did you say? You know?
Let's see. He's played 16 games with Seattle now. He's got 8 goals. Oh, I'm sorry. So 2 of those count with Nashville. So he's got 8 goals with Seattle.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. That was counting both teams. He did score 2 for Nashville, but still 8. He's got 10 points in 16 games, 8 goals in 16 games. So he's got 2 power play goals. He's a big role player for them, for Seattle, and he fit a need that they really had on the waiver wire. So for Seattle, they played it really well, and they got a need. That's what you do when you get on the waiver wire. You look for guys. You get them for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You look for guys who fit your need. I think Eeli Tolvanen fit a really big need that the Seattle Kraken had at the time.
Yep.
So, and we're looking at a playoff team, most likely.
Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, they're playing really well. Surprisingly well, actually.
What about our boy Nick Cousins, guys?
Saw him play the other day for the Florida Panthers.
Playing very minimal minutes.
I just looked it up. He got a $2.2 million contract with them.
I think that was definitely a player I was very, very okay with moving on from this past offseason. I mean, I didn't see any reason to reserve a roster spot for Nick Cousins on this team. As much as I do like his moxie and I do think that he has that chip on his shoulder and that veteran type of leadership that you need on a team. But I didn't want Nick Cousins taking a roster spot from a younger player like a Yuso Parson or a Cody Glass or whatnot. So I saw it completely okay to move on from him. And he plays very minor minutes for Florida right now. So
he's got 18 points so far this season. He had his moments with Nashville. There was some moments I really liked him, and then others are just kind of like.
He was an instigator, man. Like he would get in there and cause some tussles or whatnot. And you love players like that.
Yep.
I can't remember what game it was, but I'll never forget the one game where he was causing a ton of chaos, and he goes to the penalty box and he's just laughing his ass off in the penalty box, like stirring the pot.
He knows.
He was that type of player.
Yeah.
What about Matt Benning? Kyle or Rich, I know you loved some Matt Benning when he was here.
Matt Benning.
He's playing for San Jose. He's playing for San Jose now.
He did, and he got a surprisingly pretty good sized contract from what I remember with them.
I mean,
for his role.
All right, I'm going to ask Kyle this. Do you think that Jeremy Lazon has been an upgrade to Matt Benning? Because it's kind of a 1-for-1 swap there.
Well, that's a difficult question to answer because they play so differently.
Matt Benning took a lot of penalties just like Jeremy Lazon does. I think Jeremy Lazon brings a tad more of an offensive element to his game than Matt Benning did.
He's more physical.
So there's that.
That's for sure.
Matt Benning's got 20 assists this year. I am having to refresh this.
Oh, wow.
I did not realize that Matt Benning has 20 assists.
He signed
San Jose Sharks.
He signed a 4-year, $5 million contract with San Jose. They locked him up for
4 by 5.
How did I not know this? How did I not realize that Matt Benning has already beaten his Matt Benning has already tied his career high for points in a season.
Yeah,
21.
He had 11.
He's already surpassed his career high in assists for a season.
Yeah.
And he's still got hopefully another 30 games left on the season to pad that career high number.
He had 11.
I had no idea that he had 20 assists for the San Jose Sharks this year.
That's crazy. Yeah. I liked him though, for sure.
He's still a -10. He's also only got 20 penalty minutes. So he's keeping his penalties down. He's playing way more ice time than he was with the Predators. He's got 19.27 for San Jose this year, which is over 3 minutes more than what he averaged with the Preds. So he's playing a more significant role with San Jose, which is obviously a rebuilding team. So good for Matt Benning. It looks like he's found himself a good little spot.
I was looking at his stats. This is funny, real quick. When he was playing in the AJHL for the Spruce Grove Saints.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah, I know, right?
I need some merchandise.
This was back in 2011. 44 games played. He had 87 penalty minutes. That's a lot.
It's a lot of fights, I'm sure, fighting majors.
Anyway.
What was the name of that team again? The Spruce Grove
Saints. And they are in the AJHL.
Where is Spruce Grove? I got to look that up on a map.
I don't know. I guess that's the American Junior Hockey League.
I bet they have a really badass logo.
Alberta Junior Hockey League.
You know, the junior teams and the minor league teams have way better logos. Have y'all noticed that than the NHL
do.
teams? They have the best logos.
I still say the Admirals, everything beats the Preds, everything. I will die on that hill.
Let's see. They are in Spruce Grove, Alberta.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, that explains why I've never heard of Spruce Grove. I'm sure maybe Lindsay has heard of Spruce Grove, being from Calgary.
Calgary.
Berta beef. Lindsay said they don't say that. And I was like, I've heard people say
Speaking of Lindsay and her all-time favorite goaltender, how's David Riddick doing this year, guys? Does anybody know? Has anybody checked in on our boy David Riddick?
Winnipeg.
I mean, he's not having to do a lot behind Connor Hellebuck,
who pretty much starts every game.
He went from the arguably easiest backup job in the NHL to just as equally easy backup job in the NHL, because Saros and Hellebuck start more games than anybody, and they stop more pucks than anybody. So it's like he's had 2 vacation years.
That's true. So David Riddick's got 13 games this year. He's 8-4, 2.58 goals against average, and a .909 save percentage. Hey, you'll take that from your backup goaltender. You'll take that. I don't remember.
Somebody, it might have been Lindsay talking about him, said that he's actually not done too bad when he's played. So,
yeah, I mean, he's having a good little bounce back year as a backup. I mean, we won't even discuss his rough time with the Preds, and it wasn't all on him. He missed some time due to COVID. He just never really got comfortable here. I mean, he got lit up. He got lit up by his own goalpost, like ran into it. Like,
oh, that was great.
Yeah.
That was one of those things where, like, you wanted to laugh at it, but it's your own team. So it's like, should I laugh at that? Like, I want to laugh at it, but it's my own team.
Yeah.
But, Riddick's a good guy. We obviously want him to do well. We care about him. But
big save day.
So it sounds like it seems like he has landed on his feet as well. So we're looking at some of these former Preds, and they've found some good little spots to land in at least.
Yeah.
And then let's end it with where are they now with Luke Cunnin.
Also at San Jose.
San Jose, yeah.
Also with San Jose.
And I believe he also got a pretty decent contract, if I remember correctly.
He's kind of trending just like he was with the Preds. I mean, he's not really doing too much for them. Just 13 points on the season.
Okay. Traded to San Jose.
And he hasn't played in a while. He hasn't played it since December 13th.
Okay. As a restricted free agent, Cunnin was later re-signed to a 2-year, $5.5 million contract extension with the Sharks.
Hasn't played since December 13th. Hasn't scored a goal since November 27th.
Oh, he torn his ACL.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
The remainder of the 2022-23 season due to torn ACL, which he sustained during the December 13th game against Arizona.
That's rough.
Yep.
Yeah, that must have happened early in the game.
He's another one of those guys. Like, he had his moments for the Predators, and you're like, oh man, I really like him. And then there was other times when it was just like
he only played one shift in that game. Only played one shift and had the injury.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that came really early in that game. I did not see. That's why we do this kind of stuff, because I had no idea. I had no idea that Luke Cunnin was out for the year for the Sharks. So that's rough stuff. We wish him the best.
Yep.
So catches us up with that. All right, I got to ask you guys, who had the better goalie goal, Pekka or Saros? Saros scores in the Tindy tandem. And let me answer this first. And you guys are not going to agree with me here. I'm going Saros because there was more pressure. there was more pressure to hit that puck in that little bitty slot in
That's
this
true.
dumb little new Tindy tandem, and he kept missing. He kept missing. I was
Horribly
watching it live.
missing.
He kept missing but all the goaltenders had struggled with this, and I could see why. I mean, that's tough, man. To just everyone's watching you. It's this new event. It's kind of quirky. You got to throw the puck at this little board or whatever, and they're all missing this board. And then if you hit it it's like carnival style. It's like if you hit the puck in this little bitty slot, then how did it work? If you hit the puck in the slot, then it was a 3-on-0 against the other goaltender, and you get the 3 points. It was the whole scoring system was like wacky.
Yeah. If you hit the board, you got 2 points, and the other goaltender had to face a 2-on-2. And if you missed
2-on-0,
well, 2-on
a two-person breakaway.
Yeah, and then if you totally missed, you got nothing, and the other team had to face it was just a breakaway. But yeah. So
and of course you're going with players who are kind of going half speed and no slap shots, all that. But I don't know. I'm going Saros because the dude, it was really pretty awesome the way he just hit the puck up into that little slot, and he stuck his arms up just like when Pekka did his goalie goal. I know I'm going to be in the minority here, but I'm going Saros as the better goalie goal.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, I just can't.
Just the Juices isn't on the score sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Pekka's wasn't like a game-changing goal.
No.
No goalie goals are, though.
It's not, but
I know, but
Rene's name is with 12 other players in the NHL, in the history of the NHL, who scored a goalie goal.
Saros had a smaller target to shoot at.
He did have a smaller target for sure. That little box.
I'm going off of difficulty. Here.
Yeah, you're right.
That's my reasoning.
You're the French judge.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The good thing about
I knew I was going to be in the minority there.
When Pekka scored his, though, his had a lot of loft, and it went half the distance of the rink before it landed and then went in. So I don't know.
And it was against the Chicago Blackhawks, which made it even better.
At Chicago, so
if that would have came against the Columbus Blue Jackets, it wouldn't have meant nearly as much. But it came against the Blackhawks. It just gave you bonus points for it. I get it.
13 people in the history, as long as they've been playing stick blade rubber biscuit, have done that. Let's do our quick hitters real quick.
Speaking of that, All-Star Weekend takeaways, guys. Did you guys watch the skills competition?
I watched every bit of the All-Star Weekend, all of it. I watched it. I liked it.
So how did you liked it? What were some of the skills challenges that you actually enjoyed that you thought were good?
So even though it was confusing, the goaltender thing was pretty cool. Just because Saros was in it, so that helped. The thing where they had the dunk tank, where they had to hit the surfboards, that was pretty cool. Sidney Crosby got dunked, so that was good.
I thought it was cool that Chuck Brothers competed or whatever.
Yeah, that was good. The David Pasternak's skit thing he did for the breakaway
that was so
funny
dumb.
Because he did
it was funny, but it was so dumb though.
It was dumb, but it was
because when people think breakaway challenge, they want to see breakaways. They don't want to see David Pasternak run down and putt a puck into the net and run around riding, I know it was the Happy Gilmore skit or whatever, and it was funny. It was, but
it was.
I don't know. The breakaway challenge was. I did not enjoy that at all.
The worst one was Mitch Marner's because it was like Miami Vice themed, and it just.
It was just ridiculous. Yeah, it was so dumb.
Not great, but
yeah, it was dumb. My favorite challenge was for me was actually the Chipotle pitch and puck.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was pretty creative, guys. You're talking about guys using hockey pucks to play golf.
Yeah.
And it was a par 4
Mm-hmm.
hole. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who love their golf. And I was into it. I was like, it's kind of fun.
Oh, I thought
And
it was cool too. Yeah, I liked it.
I got to give All-Star Weekend a lot of credit for doing the suspense factor where they didn't tell you the winner like right away. Like say, oh, you're going to have to stick around to find out who won. Like, so, like that kind of kept me intrigued.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
When they did Fastest Skater, they did all of them, and then they took the 2 winners, and they did it later, so that was kind of cool.
How about Leon Draisaitl completely choking on the accuracy shooting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was not pretty.
Wow.
At all. It was not pretty.
I think he got 38 seconds or something. Like he couldn't even hit the target. Like he kept missing. He looked visibly frustrated too.
Yeah.
Like it looked to the point where we know Leon Draisaitl is a dude that plays with a crazy intensity. He looked legitimately pissed off that he performed so badly in that.
Well, Connor McDavid, he went 8 for 8. He didn't miss, but then
I think he did 9 seconds or something like that. Something crazy.
He did I can't remember what he did the first time, but the second time he did 12.9, but then Brock Nelson did 12.2 and he hit 4 in a row. So yeah, I like that one too. It's pretty cool, but I enjoyed it. People get on Twitter and they complain about it, and I'm like, why? Then don't watch it. I mean, nobody's making you watch it, and nobody cares about your opinion when you put it on Twitter going, this is so stupid. Why are they? Then if you don't like
what did you think about PK's? What did you guys think about PK Subban and his hosting duties?
Fit for that role. If there's anybody ever who's fit to be a media personality, it's PK Subban.
I mean, I didn't even watch it, and I could have told you that. PK is the man when it comes to.
He was funny.
He was funny.
He knows how to he knows how to bring the crowd in. I think my favorite moment with PK Subban in the whole night was when he was throwing around nicknames for Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon. Yeah, and he came up with McJesus.
Yeah,
he threw around McJesus. Connor McDavid has no personality. He has the personality of a brick wall.
None of them really.
But he actually got Connor McDavid to crack a few smiles or whatever, and he went with did he go with McJesus?
He did. Yeah, I can't remember the other ones.
So Nathan McKinnon went with Little Mac, I think.
Yeah, which was a little strange. You brought up the point about those guys having personality. No personality. None of them do. They interviewed Jason Robertson, and he's like, they're like, what do you think? He's like, I'll guarantee a goal, but he didn't say, wasn't excited.
Mitch Marner. Not Mitch Marner. The Big Rig.
Oh, Pat Maroon. Oh my gosh.
He was so cringe as a host. Kyle, did you see Pat Maroon? He was doing color commentary. Oh my God. He never needs to do color commentary ever again. The dude was so bad.
He's like, he would go, he was skating fast. Just what you would expect.
Yeah,
it was exactly what you'd expect.
If you're going to have a former player, do color commentary for something like the All-Star game, one, it either needs to be PK or Paul Bissonnette.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
because they're funny.
They basically gave him the role of the sideline commentator.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would turn to him throughout these All-Star games or whatever and they were like, oh, what are you thinking about the play of the game? And he would just kind of jump in and be like, oh yeah, they're skating really fast.
Yeah. And he goes,
this is a lot of fun, guys. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm having a lot of fun here. This is man, they're skating fast. They're shooting the puck hard. Man, this is a lot of fun, guys. Back to you.
He said, there's no way they'd ever have me in the fastest skater competition. Ha 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 ha. I was like, oh my gosh. What is wrong with you?
It was almost too perfect for how the NHL markets their sport.
Yeah. Just they interviewed a couple of the players, and Nate McKinnon was talking to a piece of celery or something. He was just sitting there and didn't say anything. And then they were interviewing Matthew Tkachuk during the game, And he wasn't even paying attention. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm distracted," and like blew him
Yeah.
off. And I was like,
Yeah, it is what it is. Hockey players are different breeds. They are.
They are, for sure. Yeah. I enjoyed it, though. I like it. I thought it was great.
Saros looked good. Hey, so I know it's an all-star
first.
game, but I thought he looked really well. He made a lot of really good saves. If anything, Saros definitely in that first game against the Pacific Division, Saros looked like he was treating it like a real game.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to cover the puck. And, you know, in the all-star games, the goalies don't normally ice the pucks. They just push it out and keep the play going. But he wanted to ice the puck so bad every time, you know. And he looked into it. Like Saros looked like he actually cared about the game.
He did.
So I appreciated that because that's what we know Juice to be, is just a competitor.
Yep. I enjoy it.
All right, let's close it out real quick, guys. Episode 171 of Catfish and Ice. It's been a really long episode. We're at 2 hours now. Let's get to one final question. Did you guys see the very controversial hit of Jeff Carter on Cal Makar? It was nasty, but it was also, I think it was very incidental. Rich, what's your thoughts on the hit? Do you think it was nasty? Do you think it deserves a suspension? Do you think it was incidental?
Hockey's a rough sport. You saw the hit that Nazem Kadri took from Jacob Trouba. Did y'all see that one?
I did.
Yeah,
he owned up to it.
Yeah, he did. He's like, it was a good hit. I mean, I don't know. It kind of looked like he maybe got up into it, like shouldered him in the face, but I don't know. It's a rough.
I think it was a fast moving game, and you're talking about two guys in the wrong place at the wrong time. And like you say, Rich, hockey's a rough sport.
That's right. What did Kale say when he got out in the parking lot? Because he was a little dazed. Where's Makar? Get it?
Oh, dad joke of the year.
I snorted.
I'm a little dazed and confused. Where's Makar?
Where's Makar?
I think Kale's gonna win the Norris and the Oscar because he acted that one up pretty good.
Yeah, he took his inner NBA player on that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
He took a page or two from LeBron James.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It looked worse than it probably really was, I guess. So
I think if it's not on a player like Cal Makar, no one's talking about it as much.
Nope. I agree.
I'm looking at it in slow motion right now, and it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hard hit, but it's just wrong place, wrong time, if anything. But you see these moments. I will say, looking at it right now, the puck was not really in the immediate area. So maybe there was a little bit of gamesmanship there by Jeff Carter, and maybe he was looking to send a message. But I've seen way, way dirtier hits than that in the NHL.
Absolutely.
So I'm not – but they're talking about it because it's Cal Makar. So, you know. All right. It's been a really, really fun episode, jam-packed episode. We stayed up late with you, episode 171. Let's get one more comment in before we sign off. It's our good buddy Johnny. Redemption.
Mirror, better late than never.
We love you, Johnny. Johnny, we were talking about some of the best and worst moves by David Poile.
I bet he's got a laundry list.
He's going to go listen later, and he will let us know what we missed because that dude's an encyclopedia. He is a Nashville Predators walking, living, breathing encyclopedia.
Absolutely.
Encyclopedia Predanica.
I see what you did there.
And you need to go follow his YouTube channel. He says, I'll give my feedback in the archive, of course. There you go.
Cool.
He has an awesome YouTube channel as well. Preds Fan Reacts. So go check that out. We love Johnny. We love all of you. Thank you for listening to episode 171 of Catfish and Ice. We'll see you next week. We are going to go catch some Z's because it's late and we're tired.
Absolutely.
But take care, everybody. We love you.
Have a good one.
Night.